Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for joining us. Can everybody hear me okay? I hope so. We are live. If you do have any issues with the signal, with the sound, video, please let us know. We're monitoring the channel. We made a little change recently. We are only going live on YouTube and we're sharing the link on Facebook. I know it's not as convenient for those who use Facebook a lot, but we were having issues using both channels at the same time. We tried many different things and there was just too many issues for that. So we are using just YouTube at the moment and we're trying it that way. So if you notice any problems during the stream, please let us know and we'll try to fix accordingly for the next studies as well. Okay, we have a wonderful study ahead of us. We are just 12 days away, a little less than 12 days away actually, from the service for the births of Meishu-sama and Jesus Christ. Special ceremony to celebrate Meishu-sama's 140th birthday anniversary. This is really big. As many of you are aware, it's the first time in our church that we are celebrating also the birth of Christ as part of our holy days in the church. So it's a really special moment. And in preparation to that, we'll be doing our study the next 2 weeks. Okay, so this week and the following week for that before the service. So I'm really looking forward to this study with everybody. Let us keep in mind that it's only because we have God's permission. It's only because we have Kyoshu-sama that we are able to have these studies. Without the holy seed of Kyoshu, without Kyoshu-sama receiving the true will of Meishu-sama, we would not awaken to this true desire of Meishu-sama. So with gratitude, let us, in the name of Messiah, which is one with Meishu-sama, keep this in our hearts and recognize this before God as we hold our study today. Okay, as the year is coming to an end, I like to express my gratitude for all those who joined our sponsorship program, all those who are joining, who are planning to join. Thank you very much. It is with your commitment that it is possible to bring this message to as many people as possible. Without your commitment, without your financial support, it's impossible to bring this gift to humanity at large. So your commitment, your monetary contribution is of extreme importance. For all those who are also contributing other ways, not necessarily on the sponsorship program, but are participating financially also, thank you so very much. For all of you who would like to participate, this link for the sponsorship program is available in our channels. It's available in the description of this video, not only on YouTube, but also in the description of this video for Facebook. You can click there and join from there as well. All right, so it's a simple click and you can register from there. Also, as always, please share these messages. Please share these videos. Without you sharing them, they don't get distributed online. So we really count on your participation. We count on your support to share these videos. All right. So without further ado, let us begin our study with the church canon. World Church of Messiah USA Canon. With great fear of God, we acknowledge that the Lord God is our true Father, the one and only God. We revere Meishu-sama as the model for all humanity and as our own example to follow. Meishu-sama, who was born anew as the true child of God, the Messiah, by receiving the divine will that God accomplished in heaven. We believe that Jesus Christ, who 2,000 years ago embodied the name of Messiah, the name most holy and high, is serving the Lord God in unity with Meishu-sama. And we regard the messages of Kyoshu-sama, who reveals to us the will of Meishu-sama in this material world as the sole, absolute, and irreplaceable foundation in advancing our mission here on earth. Words of prayer. God, I acknowledge that you are alive. Within me, you are alive. I thank you for nurturing me to be newly born as your child. May this blessing be shared with all. In the name of Messiah, which is one with Meishu-sama, I surrender myself to you. Please use me as you wish. Thank you very much. So, as I said in the very beginning, we are preparing for the service for the births of Meishu-sama and Jesus Christ that we'll be celebrating this year. And this year, also in the name, we have the special ceremony to celebrate Meishu-sama's 140th birthday anniversary. Special ceremony to celebrate Meishu-sama's 140th birthday anniversary. It's a truly great opportunity to return our gratitude to God for bringing Christ and Meishu-sama into this world to guide us to fulfill our true will. We're extremely blessed to be able to serve and express our gratitude to God through this service for the birth of both of them. And with that in mind, I'd like for us to also today study a little bit more of the relationship between Meishu-sama and Christ, right? Many people believe that the church is somehow becoming Christian because Meishu-sama talked about working in concert with Christianity, because Meishu-sama talks about the blood of atonement of Christ, because Meishu-sama brought this gospel of salvation to all of us, right? And showed us what it means to be born anew as a child of God, as a Messiah. And there's no way we can go forward if we don't clarify that relationship between Christ and Meishu-sama. And of course, this is not possible for us to do in one 30-minute study, but there is so much material out there for us today. There's so much that Kyoshu-sama is sharing with us, has been sharing with us. Masaaki-sama has been sharing with us material that's been shared at services like videos that we can go deeper into this relationship and see what our true mission is. That I believe as we start to go deeper into that, we can appreciate this service and we can appreciate the work of this church so much more if we do that. So with that in mind, we're going to be reading a few things today. First, I'd like to share you a few Instagram posts that came out recently on our page. And this is from the February 4th, 2021 message, greeting by Masaaki-sama. If I'm not mistaken, rejoice, rejoice, rejoice. All right. And in this post, Masaaki-sama shares the following. Doesn't God exist in each one of our hearts? Doesn't he actually advance his work of salvation within each one of our hearts? This, I believe, is what Meishu-sama wanted to teach us. We have all kinds of thoughts and feelings within our daily lives, including about our relationships with others, don't we? It is through what goes on in our hearts and minds that God advances his work of salvation, right? This is what Meishu-sama wanted to tell us. At first, Meishu-sama taught us how we can serve in the work of salvation through physical activities. But in the end, he taught us that from now on, God is going to save the world through using each one of our hearts. Didn't he? So in continuation to this post, actually, there's another post from Instagram from the same message that I'd like to share with you. And Masaaki-sama continues and he shares, there are so many things in the world. I'm sorry. There are so many in the world who are suffering in their hearts, aren't there? Everyone is suffering from something. We may think that we can do nothing to solve that suffering, but that's not true. Because the very fact that you are suffering from something means that God has come down to your hearts and is trying to receive that suffering through his hand of love. Isn't this what Jorei is? I mean, this definitely is what Jorei is. This has to be the true Jorei. Within us, within the hearts of humanity, there are numerous feelings and emotions. And while extending his hand of love toward us, God is saying to each one of us, return those feelings and emotions to me. This has to be the true Jorei, don't you think? And this saving hand of God exists in every single person. Reading by Masaaki-sama, Rejoice, 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 February 4th, 2021. How many of us know somebody who's suffering from anxiety, who's suffering from depression, who's overwhelmed with thoughts and feelings they cannot control? And how many of us have had the thought, there's nothing I can do? Or even worse, sometimes we say, oh, I can only pray for that person, right? We're not realizing how powerful that prayer, not realizing how powerful God is working through the soning and through the hearts of each one of us. Not realizing that God is manifesting his salvation through the very feelings and thoughts that that person is experiencing, right? That we are seeing within us. This was shared with us in 2021, right? And I want to actually backtrack and go back to 2019 to a greeting that Masaaki-sama made in Europe with the presence of Kyoshu-sama and overseas ministers and directors from also ministers from World Church of Messiah in Portugal. So it was a meeting with Kyoshu-sama, directors and ministers of World Church of Messiah, Portugal, and overseas ministers on October 31st, 2019. And I know that a while back we've shared this message, probably during daily services. We have read it. And this message also has question and answers, which I know we've addressed in our previous studies. But today I'd like to read just the message part of it, right? Because at this point in time, in 2019, we were still physically raising our hands, right? Serving in this physical Jorei, and slowly being awakened to God's true work of salvation, God's true Jorei, right? How God is doing through soning. And this message also shares very much this relationship, Masaaki-sama shares in this message, this relationship between Christ and Meishu-sama that I want to read for our preparation for this upcoming service with you. If you are watching from a TV, if you're watching from your computer, you can actually scan the QR code available here in the message at the bottom of the screen, and you can access this message directly from your phone. If you're watching from your phone, you can just go to the description of this video and the link is there. Okay, so after the video, you can actually go back and you can see the message in its entirety. But today I'd like to just read a little bit with you this greeting by Masaaki-sama, where he shares, "Good morning. Today, I would like to talk about what Kyoshu-sama has been teaching us regarding Jorei. For a long time, for a very long time, Kyoshu-sama has been teaching us that it is very important for us to surrender our feelings and emotions to God in the name of Messiah. Why are we able to surrender our feelings? Why does God want to receive all of our feelings? God is always wanting to receive all of our thoughts, everything that we think. And I believe God is always enveloping us with His great hand. God envelops us with His hand, enveloping our hearts and feelings as well. What Kyoshu-sama is teaching us is that this hand of God is the true hand of Jorei. We channel Jorei, don't we? Is the hand we raise at the time our own hand? Or is it the hand of God? Which one is it? If it is God's hand, is there a time that God is not raising His hand? Is there a time when God is not channeling Jorei? This is a great question, right, for all of us. Because how many of us have thought, okay, Jorei is not happening if the hand's not raised? Or how many of us going through a difficult time, even now, that we don't raise our hand for Jorei anymore, still have that, I wouldn't say desire, but that habit of wanting to raise our hand and channel Jorei, right? But Masaaki-sama brings us a great question to reflect on, right? Is there a time when God is not channeling Jorei? If it is God's hand, and God is the one channeling Jorei, then regardless of me raising that hand or not, I am receiving God's Jorei, am I not? And he continues, I believe that there is no such time, not even a moment. God is always, at any time, channeling Jorei to us, within us. And He enwraps everything that we feel and think with His hands and welcomes us into His heaven. Going back to this message, this was back in 2019, right? But today, can we see how big of a blessing it is that no matter what you are experiencing, no matter what you are feeling, no matter what appears to be a suffering, an inconvenience, a burden, God is enwrapping everything. Nothing is left out. God is not forgetting anything. He's enwrapping everything that we feel and think with His hands and welcomes us into His heaven. He's not just welcoming those thoughts and those feelings, right? He's welcoming the whole of us. Us who are full of those thoughts and feelings into His heaven. That in itself is a huge blessing, is it not? For anyone who's overwhelmed by all those thoughts and feelings, anxieties, problems, depression, worries, to know that God is enveloping and wrapping everything that we feel and think with His hands means everything. It means that we are so protected. We are so loved by God. Wouldn't you agree? Into His hand. But how many times do we recognize that? Don't many times we think that God has forgotten us, or God is not hearing our prayers, Or God is not receiving our thoughts because we are so overwhelmed with all these thoughts and feelings? And Masaaki-sama continues here. So we always want to channel Jorei. Isn't that true? However, there may be times when we cannot channel Jorei to other people. If we are alone at home at night, we may feel many emotions such as anger at another person. At that moment, it is important for us to think, we feel these negative feelings because God is transmitting Jorei to us and enveloping us with His light. At the same time, if we think, oh God, you want to receive this feeling, this emotion in your heaven, don't you? God, please, I will surrender this feeling. God will then say to us, you understood. I am channeling Jorei within you. That's it. Did you understand? Good then. Don't we tend to do the opposite many times? Knowing this truth many times. If I'm feeling this burden, if I am hurting, if I am worried, if I am sad, if I am ill, do we not say, oh, God is punishing me? God forgot me? God is making me go through this? We don't see that that is the very expression, outward expression of God's light and God's Jorei within us. And we're so centered on us in what we want at the moment that it is extremely hard to see how full and how blessed and how one we are with God. Masaaki-sama continues. I believe that this is the point that Kyoshu-sama is teaching us, and that this is the true meaning of Jorei. This is the true meaning of Jorei, right? So Jorei is not me raising that hand. Jorei is not me making that feeling better. Jorei is God embracing, enveloping all of us through that very feeling, that very thought, that very situation that we are going through. Masaaki-sama continues, right? When we can channel Jorei to others, I believe it is important for us to think, I am now channeling Jorei. But if I am not able to channel Jorei to this person or others, God will always be channeling Jorei within them and within me. God is channeling Jorei to all humanity, always. Meishu-sama purified a year before his ascension. He suffered from a cerebral hemorrhage. Soon after this purification, Meishu-sama repeatedly said, Jorei is not as important now. From here on, we enter the world of Sone. Perhaps we did not know this, but Meishu-sama said this many times for those close to him. However, Meishu-sama was not able to convey the true meaning of these words before he passed away. Nevertheless, I believe that Kyoshu-sama, receiving the true will of Meishu-sama, is now sharing with us what Meishu-sama wanted to convey to us with these words. Kyoshu-sama is not denying Jorei. Meishu-sama and Kyoshu-sama are trying to convey to us that God exists within us and that He is always channeling Jorei to us because God wants to save the whole world, the entire world. All of humanity exists within us. All of humanity's ancestors also exist within us. The act of surrendering feelings can bring salvation to the people who exist within us. And for a long time, I think I've shared this before, I thought that I was surrendering feelings to fix a problem, right? Or to change a feeling, right? So if I was feeling stressed and I wanted to feel calm, I was surrendering to feel calm. If I was feeling sad, I was surrendering to feel happy. The very beginning, right? I didn't understand what it is and why I was surrendering. But the very act of returning to God with all of humanity and all of our ancestors who exist within us, as Masaaki-sama is sharing here, can bring salvation to the people who exist within us. In other words, we are being used by God, serving God through those very thoughts and feelings so God can save all those who are within us in His heaven, right? It's not for me to do an exchange of feelings. I feel this way, so I surrender to God so I can feel another way. It's to fulfill God's purpose. Wouldn't you agree? It's about God's will and God's plan for us. And Masaaki-sama continues. He says, so I believe that what Kyoshu-sama is teaching us is very important in order to save all of humanity. I also think that this shows the immensity of our mission and the immensity of the mission of our church. Maybe until today we thought, who is better, Meishu-sama or Jesus Christ? Who is better? Perhaps we were thinking, is Meishu-sama the only Messiah or not? Then who is Jesus Christ? If Meishu-sama is the only Messiah, then who is Jesus Christ? We have this question, this query within us. I believe some people still do, correct? As we are approaching this holy day, where we are celebrating the births of Meishu-sama and Jesus Christ. Some people might be wondering, right? Why? Why now? Why both? Who is Jesus Christ? Or who is Meishu-sama? Or as some might have expressed, is the church becoming Christian? Right? And with that, and centering on our convenience, on our thoughts, we don't deal with the true meaning of Jesus' birth, the true meaning of Meishu-sama's birth, the true reason why both are so extremely important, right? We leave this question lingering within us, or we just ignore it, or we don't face it. But today we can actually look at it. We can go deeper. And regarding this, Masaaki-sama shares with us, but if the soul that exists within Meishu-sama and within Jesus Christ is God's soul, would it be possible for us to compare who is better? No. God's soul is one, and we cannot compare it. The soul that exists with Jesus Christ, within Jesus Christ, and within Meishu-sama is the same soul named Messiah. But that is not all. Within us, the light exists. Light. The soul of God named Messiah exists within us. Meishu-sama once said that he would save Jesus Christ. But I believe that we did not understand the meaning of these words. For us, when we hear these words, we try to compare. If Meishu-sama said this, then maybe he is better than Jesus Christ. But I do not think like this. I believe that Meishu-sama did not want to convey that he was better than Jesus Christ, but instead convey the immensity of our mission how immense it is. For a long time, I misinterpreted these words as well of Meishu-sama. Right? I took Meishu-sama's sacred word in my very human, limited, convenient understanding and wanted to separate both. I couldn't see, and I had no awareness, or completely neglected, to say the least, that the soul named Messiah, God's very soul that exists in Jesus, is the same soul that exists in Meishu-sama. And I wanted to compare the two. Hearing that Meishu-sama would save Jesus, I thought Meishu-sama was better. And for a long time, I neglected the existence of Jesus. By neglecting, denying that very existence, I was denying myself. Today, we are aware, as Meishu-sama taught us and as Kyoshu-sama brought to us, were it not for the atoning blood of Christ, were it not for God creating Christ and everything that Christ went through, there would be no us. There would be no life as we know it. Right? Everything would have been destroyed. But still, I wanted to compare the two. And I wanted to separate the two. Not truly receiving Meishu-sama's will, Meishu-sama's wish. Right? There would be no Christmas. There would be no, all this joy that you experience at the moment. There would be no us. And today, more than ever, I realize that without Kyoshu-sama, it's impossible to receive Meishu-sama's sacred word. We would have never noticed this, right? For almost 70 years, we took these sacred words to our own convenience, judging right, wrong, good, bad, and using these sacred words to interpret how we would like, what our understanding of Meishu-sama, what our understanding of Jesus Christ was, and how mistaken that was. Because with that limited, narrow-minded, and very human understanding, the salvation of all humanity is just impossible. It just wouldn't happen, right? And here, we never realized also, as Masaaki-sama has been sharing, the immensity of our mission, how immense it is. What does it mean for our church to exist? And he continues, until today, no one was able to convey what Jesus Christ really wanted to say. But by Meishu-sama being born anew as the Messiah, he became a prototype for all humanity and truly inherited the will of Jesus Christ. No one until today was able to inherit the true wish of Jesus Christ. But Meishu-sama, for the first time in the history of humanity, was finally able to accomplish this. Meishu-sama is trying to convey God's truth, Jesus Christ's truth. Our mission is to accept this truth, and we need to try and convey it to many people. It's not just accepting it and keeping it for us, right? We need to bring this to as many people as possible. Masaaki-sama continues, until today, no one was able to inherit the true will of Jesus Christ. However, Meishu-sama did. For this reason, I believe that Meishu-sama said he was saving Jesus. Right? You can just imagine if Meishu-sama didn't inherit that, If Meishu-sama didn't receive that and truly perceive that will of God, the true work of God, the true will of God would have been forgotten. We would have missed the boat. It's a completely different way to see the relationship between Meishu-sama and Jesus. Wouldn't you agree? You can see them as one set, God working through both of them to fulfill God's will, rather than one is superior and one is inferior. The same God that's alive in both of them, working through them for us to be able to fulfill God's will. I think that we are not able to feel the true wish of Meishu-sama, correct? But through Kyoshu-sama, we now know what Meishu-sama truly wants, what true salvation is, and what the true salvation of Jesus Christ is. For this reason, I believe that our mission is very big. Our mission is truly very big, immense. I want to go forward on this very great, this very important path in the salvation of humanity, and I would like to walk this way always with Kyoshu-sama and with all of you. Thank you. This is truly an immense and special mission, and it's special for us to receive this will of God, for this to be clarified to us today so that we can truly serve in God's plan. We are so blessed. And as we'll see in the following studies, right, it's not about just receiving God's forgiveness through the blood of atonement. Meishu-sama accomplished something much more. He fulfilled God's will, Jesus Christ's will, by being born anew as a child of God, Messiah. And we have that mission as well. All of humanity is predestined to be born anew as children of God, Messiahs. That's what God wants for us, and Meishu-sama received that and became that prototype. No Christian church thinks in that way, right? It's not that we are becoming Christian like in the Christian sense in the Christian world. We are inheriting the true will of Christ, the true will of God, and fulfilling that. And that's completely new, right? As Masaaki-sama shared here, no one did this. Meishu-sama was the first. So we can see how truly great, how truly important, immense our mission is, and how truly special this service coming up is to celebrate the birth of Meishu-sama and Jesus, and to celebrate what God did and God is accomplishing through them. So I'm really looking forward to participating with you on this very special day on the 18th at 11 a.m. Pacific time. But before then, let's continue studying, furthering our understanding. Today, I also posted a link to a video that was created by the church. It was aired in one of the services. It's called The Mystery of the Messiah, The Forgotten Wish of Meishu-sama. And in it, we can see why Meishu-sama loved Handel's Messiah so much. You know, I always knew that Meishu-sama listened to that, but it wasn't until Kyoshu-sama and Masaaki-sama started sharing this true will of Meishu-sama. It wasn't until this video, to be honest, that I actually understood what Handel's Messiah was, what was in Handel's Messiah, and why Meishu-sama treasured it so much. So I really recommend you watch it all the way through the end. Aside from being truly educational, it's a very important video for us to see what Meishu-sama truly wants for us and what our mission truly is and how grave and how important that is. So that video has been shared here. The link is here before the service or right after this study. Please watch it. If you've watched it already, watch it one more time. It's a really rich video, really important video to supplement our study today so we can go even deeper next week. Thank you so much for allowing me to share these thoughts with you. And may all glory, may all honor be returned to God always.